Oh. So yeah, so I mean, I didn't. I saw you. I think I know how to export hands now. I did read. I just read. I didn't look at that video for whatever reason. I couldn't see it. But the one thing,
Huh.
um, I really want to dive in because I think, I mean, I haven't spending as much time as I want to be. But what I think I'm not doing is using this tool to the ability. I'm literally like, I don't know if I should like after a tournament's played, what are you looking at? Or like that's kind of
Hmm.
what I'm hoping to get from today. You
Yeah,
know,
cool.
because that's the kind of stuff I'm not using, and I feel like just looking at some of my stats, it's like, wow, I mean, obviously there's a lot of room for improvement, and that's why I wanted this system. So I was just curious on because it looks like when you identified those things right away, you showed me that chart, and I got like a pen and paper. I wanted to write down some better notes this time.
Hmm.
So um, I don't know if you wanted to go in a different direction, but I think that would be
No,
very helpful.
yeah, whatever it is that that is going to be helpful to you. So why don't I all right, let me see. Why don't I screen share here?
Okay.
I'll share my main monitor and I've got Poker Tracker set up there. Okay, let me just move this around a little. Actually, that's probably fine up there. Okay, so can you see my screen now?
I can.
So this is, I've got this in the view stats part. Normally, when we are playing poker, we're in play poker,
Yep.
and this is the screen that we see. So over in view stats, I've got you as the active player here.
Okay.
Usually this would be me, but just because we're looking at your stuff, you can change this active player, or if you play on multiple sites, you can add your different usernames as aliases so that it tracks all your stuff together,
Okay.
which is nice. And then, so basically, this is all those hands that I sent you.
Mm-hmm.
Those were hands where I was the hero, as it were. So
Gotcha.
PokerTracker4 was tracking my hands, and it just paid attention to what you were doing while you were part of it.
Yep.
So I don't have your whole cards for all of those hands. I only have the whole cards when you went to Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me to see the equivalent of what I would be looking at in my own database, I just pulled up all these hands where you actually went to Showdown in that set. So for you, when you said like at the end of the day when you're looking back on a tournament or something.
Yeah, I'm not really doing that, so that's what I
Yeah.
need to. I think I feel like I need to because there's obviously this system has identified a lot of flaws in how I'm playing, and I feel like that's why I got it right is to kind of
Mm.
move on those flaws. Like I know I'm not. I probably my VPIP I should be opening more hands. I know that right away. But again, I just wanted to kind of pick your brain on how you analyze it because you're obviously the expert compared to me. So,
Oh, great. Well, yeah, and okay, perfect. So, um, what I would do is, like one easy way is to just go hand by hand through the hands where you took actions, and so we could do that right here. I just highlighted this group of hands where we have your VPIP, and I'm just going to do a little change of screen share here for a second. And then I just bring up all those hands in the replayer like this
yep.
with one of the HUDs. This is the Rec Poker HUD
Mm-hmm.
that we were talking about. So this is the equivalent sort of what you would be seeing on the table. And I like to use the replayer. And this allows you just to go through the hands street by street.
Okay.
So if you had, there's a bunch of different ways you could filter to pull certain hands up, but we'll just use this full set as an example. And then we would just go, so here we're going to be showing all the hands of everyone we know. You're going to see my hands every time and yours, and then anyone else who went to Showdown in the hand. So one great way to review is to just go through the hands. Just go through the hands and see what the action was like. I mean, here, starting with 10 big blinds,
Yep.
is not going to tell you much. That's a perfect shove. I'm sure it worked out. Nice flop. And then you can just click through the hands and make notes that you like. Like I just ran through a couple of these preparing for our call. And this one, oh, was it this one? No, it was a different one actually. Yeah, that all makes sense. Did you want to jump in there?
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
go ahead. Jump in
Uh,
there? Or
yeah, no, I just wasn't sure if you were if you want to say something.
no, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So that we can go through some of those in more depth if you like. That's a great way to review hands, uh, and it's as simple as just highlighting the group that you want here,
Hmm.
and then replay hands, and that'll pull them all up consecutively, so you can go through there.
The right
It's,
click is your friend. See, this is
yeah,
all
right click
little
is your friend,
attention to
exactly,
detail. Got it.
and that's good for working with just sections of the report because you don't want to like have to click through every single hand in there, but you can filter down a little bit to just hands where you VPIP'd or just hands where you PFR'd. So that's one good way to do it.
So just even to go to the basics, like when you're tagging hands, because you're doing that throughout your
Yes.
play, right? So you're
Yep.
just taking. I know you showed me that. You just tag it. How do you tag your hands? What's a simple way, or do you?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great question. So let me screen share that up again. So here's that. Here, actually, let me. Can you see this?
I
Can you
can.
still see
Yep.
the table? Okay. All right. Let's just get it up here. So if I'm playing a hand and something interesting's happened, I went through and I pre-formatted a bunch of tags. Now, when you're playing in real life, you'll see this little poker tracker icon up here at the top, and then next to it, you'll see another one for tags and stuff like that. These are what the tags look like. I've gone through and changed all these to
Oh,
say
wow.
different things. And the way I use them is I classify opponents the same way that I classify my own errors, which is, are these people that raised too much, or was this a spot where I raised and it was an error? Is this someone who calls too much, or is this a spot where I made a calling error? Is this like a C-bet error, um, a sizing error? And then some more general stuff like pre-flop or post-flop, blind versus blind. And then I've got a few up at the top here that I use more sort of broadly, like share with Rec Poker Nation if it's kind of like an interesting hand that I think might be worth some comment in the forums, or if I'm live and unsure, I always tag that hand. If I'm just playing and I'm not quite sure, I'm in an unfamiliar spot, I always tag it live and unsure. And then at the end of the night or at the end of the week, you can filter all your hands for the marked tag, and then all the ones that have live and unsure, you can just go through them one by one and examine what was it about this hand that made me feel that I was not, in control of the action or whatever. And then that gives you a chance to week by week, month by month,
Hmm.
record the concepts or the spots that are troubling you. And then honestly, you'll notice after a while, like, I am in a lot of trouble when I am in the big blind and I'm calling with these like ace six offsuit hands.
Hmm.
You'll say like, that's another spot where that came up. Or, I'm calling all in with king 10 off again. And it's just like, what, it'll give you something to think about that maybe you should be drilling down on without having to go through all the filters and stuff and try and find that stuff like a statistician.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I know you went over it before, but I just really didn't
Hmm.
take it to heart, and I feel like that would be a really easy way to identify some errors, obviously by looking through the stats. So yeah, and I won't like copy yours, but I'm writing down notes every time I look down, just in case you're
Oh,
wrong.
good. Yeah, good. Well, and I'm actually I recorded this anyway, so I can send you a copy of
Oh
this if
yeah,
you want.
that'd be great. Okay.
Yeah, and you can review all this stuff then, because I think that's a great way to just have it as a reference too.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, tags are a great way to sort of refer to yourself. That later, I should check on that. And let me see if I can give you. Can you see Poker Tracker now in the
Sure can.
screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just look at. Actually, let me see. Where's that other one? Oh, I closed that one. Okay, fine. All right. So anyway, so that's one way to do it, where you're just going hand by hand and choosing individual hands. So that's one way to do it, kind of from the bottom up, where you're looking at hand by hand, street by street, micro decision making, you know? If you want to do more like macro decision making, then one good way to do it is with your HUD. All right, that's a different HUD. That's a more complicated HUD. Here's the Rec Poker HUD. Can you see that table?
I can.
Okay, great. I'm
Can
never
I?
sure if.
What's the difference? Because I actually went back to the legacy one. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but I like that a little bit better.
yeah.
The only difference in this one is how many big blinds or what? Do you know? Do you know
Mm.
what the difference are between the legacy HUD? I don't know why, but I've been just going back to it.
I think I tweaked my version of the legacy one a bit, or maybe it's an
Oh, so
older
that's
version or
okay.
something. So it doesn't actually, I can't quite compare it to yours. If you want to screen share yours with it up, maybe we could go through it and I
Or I'm
could,
just curious if you, yours is based off of legacy. Is that what it is? Based off of the legacy, and then you tweaked it, or
I don't know if this one is, but I think when I got my poker tracker, I
yep,
went through and I ended up tweaking all the built-in HUDs already.
that's a,
And then when I built so like the one in mine that says legacy probably won't line up with yours exactly because mine isn't the default one anymore. Um, but I can pull up my version of the legacy one.
oh here I've got. Oh, you cannot share screen on the other. Okay.
Oh, can you not? Oh, here, hold on. Let me stop. You pull it up. Pull up your legacy.
And this is just the default one.
Yeah. That'll help me. And I'm actually going to pull mine up on my other monitor, and then I can look at it in parallel here. So tournament default, is that what we're looking at?
Isn't this legacy?
Oh yeah, sorry, tournament
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah.
Okay, so notes, player name, M, hands abbreviated, VPIP, PFR, attempt to steal 3-bet, total aggression factor, C-bet flop,
I'm gonna
fold to
add the
flop,
notes there.
C-bet,
Yeah.
went to showdown. Actually, yeah, so that one is the same.
Okay. And then you're just color coded yours. I don't know why, but I just
Yes.
okay. Maybe I should
Yeah.
start using the color codes.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's handy. It is handy.
and how are you? Where can I find out what you're doing with the color codes? Maybe that's just a simple, easy question I should ask.
Oh yeah, great. So here, okay, so now you stop screen sharing and I'll pull mine back up.
Like I said, we're kind of going back to basics, but I feel like basically learning all this, that's kind of what I need again.
Oh yeah, it's really helpful, man. Being able to work inside the system and like knowing the little
Mhm.
shortcuts and where, I mean, that stuff. Like I'm not a programmer, so I only learned this stuff by kind of like messing around in there with broad strokes and if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. All right, so let me pull up my screen share here. Okay, so I go up here to HUD.
Yep.
Oops,
Yeah.
no, not that one. Edit HUD profiles. So let's go to the tournament Rec Poker HUD, for instance. So when you go to Legacy, this is what you see.
Yep.
And it's got basically just the table stats, item properties. So notes, you'll notice, doesn't really have anything up here because it's kind of its own weird stat.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take VPIP as an example. So VPIP has item properties and color ranges. So the item properties are pretty cool. You can change size, color, font, the format. You can even have individual pop-ups pop up when you click on that one stat. So it's pretty sophisticated. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do in there. Color ranges.
Nothing.
You can come in here and you can. I've pre-written a bunch of different color ranges for different stats, and you can let's use what it was this VPIP. So let's just use PFR as an example. So that has 4 different colors for different ranges. So for pre-flop raise is what this one is.
Yep.
From 0 to 9 is red. From 9 to 15 is orange. From 15 to 21 is yellow. And over 21 is green. And it's as simple as just adding, editing, or deleting them. And so if I wanted to add one here, let's make a new color range that was people that only PFR from 0 to 5%, and we wanted it to be purple, super tight, let's say. There it is. It's that easy. And if we wanted to edit it and say, well, no, 5% isn't actually right. Let's make it 6%. That's it. Done. Now, this wouldn't really work because you've got multiple colors assigned to the same range.
Yeah.
So we just delete that, and there you go. And then you can save and remove these. So it's handy to pre-write a bunch of these. Some of these, it's easy to actually duplicate. Like a lot of, in the more sophisticated HUDs, like in my Reid Max, the big boy,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these folds, like a lot of this, the fold to flop C bet, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be the same color range as the fold to flop bet. So you don't actually need to like have an individual one for every one, but I think it helps to have different ranges for different types of actions.
Okay.
And that's something you can experiment with.
Yeah, that's
If
something. Yeah, you've showed me it, so now I can kind of go through it and experiment, and it'll be perfect.
and the Rec Poker HUD that you got, it's
Mhm.
got some of these color ranges built into it. So you can just go through and steal some of those color
That's
ranges if you want. But understand, these color ranges that are built into the HUDs that you get from me, they're not meant to be like, these are professional ranges. They're
Mhm.
just meant to be these ranges compared to each other will show you different colors. So
Yeah,
you
they're not.
should absolutely tweak them, make them your own.
Mhm.
They're kind of like just like starting places.
Got you. Based on what your player style is and where you want to identify, you really, I understand that. Yep.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's not like one range is good. It's not like it's not like yellow's good and orange is bad. It's just that they're on a spectrum from usually they're on a spectrum from like loose to tight, and they're meant to sort of pop out at you when one street is different than the other or something like that. So yeah, so the color ranges is great, and you can also add a lot of detail in pop-up groups, positional pop-ups and stuff like that. It's a little further down the road, I think.
Yeah, I think that.
Um,
So.
the other thing, one difference between the legacy HUD and the Rec Poker one that you were using there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just pull one up here. Legacy. So is this what it looks like
It does.
when?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So the M value is a different stack size measurement than big blinds. Okay. So that's one difference. Uh, M has more to do with the pot compared to your stack than the number of big blinds in there necessarily. Like how many orbits you could
Yep.
stay at the table. So if you're thinking in big blinds, you might want to change that stat in the legacy HUD.
Well, I'm just gonna now. Just stuff of now that just simple enough. I'm gonna try the Rec Poker one. Right. This is
Yeah.
all. So why not? I'm gonna use that one for Poker Stars for sure.
Okay, cool. So let me just pull that one up here.
I'm gonna go with it. So I just felt it was missing information. I didn't do the comparison, but it looks like it's basically the legacy one. So you know what I mean? I thought it didn't have. I didn't look again. Full transparency. I didn't look at it very.
That's okay.
So, but
Yeah.
now you basically based it off of legacy. So I was like, I don't know about this one. But
Yeah, it's
now knowing you based off of legacy, I just gotta, when I'm sitting there tonight, I'll be looking at the color coding, and then
yeah, that makes a big
that'll be
difference.
very helpful.
That makes a big difference. And the other thing is on Poker Stars, they actually only let you display 3 colors.
Okay.
On ACR, they let you use as many colors as you want. So specifically for Poker Stars, I actually built another one that only uses a more refined color system.
Okay.
Because
what that tonight? Yeah.
yeah. So let me actually make a note about that.
I'm gonna write that down too. Color scheme.
Yeah, because that's it's disorienting on Poker Stars if you're expecting a certain color scheme, but they've decided that they're actually going to only show you white for 2 of those colors instead.
So that's probably why it. Okay. In my head now, it's clicking. It's like, okay. I bet you it's not showing up from what I saw that it was supposed to be. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know Poker Stars was 3 colors basically.
Yeah, well, they say 2 colors and then white. So
Okay.
I just programmed in a different color
Okay.
scheme for that. Yeah. So I should just make that part of this, because enough players are going to be playing on PokerStars in the tournaments anyway that I should just include that with the HUD.
And by the way, I don't care what you say. I'm going to send another $55 for 12.
Oh, well, you're just gonna have another hour in the bank waiting for you. Then is how I feel about that. Let's pay it forward.
So, all right. Well, that's awesome. That really helps. Just kind of back to the basics, I'm going to call it. And then, I think the other thing we had was like I wasn't able to upload that hand history to kind of dive into what like players are seeing for me, but
yeah.
I know that was that big question.
So the way I do that.
Mm.
Okay, so here you go. Let me just do a quick export while we're at it.
Okay.
So here's these hands where I have of yours where we went to showdown.
Mm-hmm.
So let's export original hand histories. Okay, this is what you would do if you wanted to send me hands. Export original hand histories. And this is what the file name will look like. Hands for buy-in, because that's what we've tagged it as. We've filtered it for buy-in. And then it does a tournament summary afterwards as well. So boom, once you're done it here, this is the message you'll get. 18 hand histories and 9 tournament summaries saved to disk. And I've just opened a folder on my desktop that's called hands. So now let's say I've sent those hands to you. Now you're in PokerTracker, you're in Play Poker, you're going to get hands from disks, select files, desktop, hands. You'll see these 2 folders, the hands export and the summaries. Click them both, open. I don't even note that every time, but then down here on the bottom left, you'll see it importing the hands. In this case, they're all duplicates because I already had these hands. And now when I go into my view stats, those hands will be part of my database. They won't be like segmented off anywhere in particular. I'll have to filter for them. Yeah, they'll just be in there with it.
Gotcha.
And I guess while we're talking about that, the only other thing I could tell you is if you wanted to export like a bigger set of hands, like if you wanted to, like, let's say you end up getting like 40, 50,000 hands, and you want someone to actually look over the real big picture, you'd go up here to export hands, database, export hands. I just go to advanced, and then you can click on cache or tournaments. And you could say, for instance, all your PokerTracker, or all your PokerStars hands, for instance, you could click on that, get the active player you want, and then click export hands there. And that'll do
and that's just the advanced export, right? Pretty simple. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That was, yeah.
Exactly. And you could do it by tournament or by session. There's lots of different ways to filter. PokerTracker4 is basically just like, it's just a bunch of different ways of looking at your data. It's just a bunch of different ways of like filtering things and combining things so that you can visualize it in a way that's helpful. So one other way that I think is great to review, and this will be easier for you once you get more hands in the database. When you're in here under view stats, statistics, the report, I've got its summary now, but if you go to Hold'em hand range visualizer, this is one of the ones in that other video maybe you were talking about, where you can take a look at all the different actions that are possible and all the different sets of hands that you took those actions with. So it's a pretty small set for me because I've only got like 18 hands where I see your whole cards, for instance. But these are all the ones where you fee pipped. These are all the ones where you pre-flop raise first in. Here's all. I mean, you're gonna have went to showdown with 100% of them because they're all the ones I have are ones you went to showdown.
What was that?
Yeah, that must have been out of the big blind or something. The funny thing is also because these are all tournaments, and in the home game tournaments as well, it's often short stacked situations. So you end up, showing down a hand like 10-9 offsuit because you only had 2 big blinds left and someone raised in your big blind and stuff like that. So you can actually filter out down here the effective number of big blinds, for instance.
Can you import your range into the system and then work off of that database or not on PokerTracker4?
Can you?
Something I can research. I don't know.
Well, this is actually like this tracks. This isn't like your intentional range. This is your actual range, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
Okay, then you just track it off of like what your range should be, and then identify your holes basically.
Exactly.
How you do it? Okay.
Yeah. So now one thing you can do here. This actually does have an equity calculator. So
there we go. See, that's
right up here. So up here under tools, equity calculator, which is great. It also has an ICM quiz and an ICM calculator.
Okay.
So when you're crunching numbers and stuff in the lab, Equilab is an excellent product. It's free. You can go to PokerStrategy.com and download Equilab, which has a great equity calculator and a range calculator. It's really cool. It's free. But PokerTracker4 does have its own ICM.
PokerStrategy.com.
Yeah. And just Google Equilab.
Okay.
That's great.
Awesome.
In fact, you know what? I mean, well, here's the PokerTracker one. Hand range selector, just like you're describing there, right? There's lots of ways to work in this. Or you can just use the sliding bar, bigger and smaller ranges. There's a lot of cool ways to work with this. While we're talking about it, though, honestly, Equilab's like one of my favorite free software tools in the world. So I'll just pull it up here so you can take a look at it. Can you see it on my screen, or is it still PokerTracker?
Yep.
Oh, you can. Okay,
under
good.
Under the gun +1 +2.
Yeah. And so you can add your own. Here's their ranges. You can add your own stuff in here. I don't have most of my, because it's a free software, I've got it on a bunch of different computers. All my actual study ones are on the other computer, but there are a bunch of ranges that are pre-built in here that you can look at that really give you the ability to see where those holes are and see where do the pros say you should open King 10 suited and where you should not open King 10 suited. Gotcha. And then that kind of helps you figure out where those cusp spots are and where those cusp hands
I think
are.
That's all 3-bet though, right? Like, is that the open, or is that just saying opening no matter what?
These are 3-betting, but there's lots of different, like here, all these are different.
I don't need to dive. I was just curious what that was looking at.
Yeah. Some of these, like this is calling ranges, for instance. So like notice how this one, it doesn't include all these premium hands because those are going to be 3-bets. So this is all the hands that you call with instead. Stuff like that.
I know it sounds simple, but as a learner, like that was different for me to like, hey, I need to make sure it says open, not call, because that range I was like, why is my range so much larger? I know it's just basic stuff, but that's where I'm at right now.
No, totally.
So,
and you know what?
Going details,
visualizing it makes a big difference too, and that's why this is nice. That's why this hand range visualizer is nice, because it'll show you, oh, am I actually sticking to the ranges that I think I'm playing in these spots?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I getting out of line, Yeah. So there's a few other ways to look at that too, up in this same section. Just speaking of like review, this one's facing pre-flop action. So it just means what was the action when it got to you in each hand.
Okay.
And often what you're going to find is that the more action that's taken place, the less well you're going to do in a hand. Usually, you're going to do well in an unopened pot when you get to raise and you get some fold equity and stuff like that. But anyway, once you get more hands, you'll be able to dive into this stuff.
Okay, so I've got about 15 more minutes, if that's all right. I know,
yeah, of course. Yeah. What else is it that you'd like to look at? What I was thinking about
is, and again, my ACR stats are just garb.com, not going to lie. I was wondering if I could share my screen and kind of
let me get rid of this. I'd love that. Yeah, do it.
It's, again, I don't know how to use it that well, but it looks pretty bad from what I could see.
Well, take me through what you're looking at and let me know what.
So again, I was, so here's my.
Oh, dude, you should have seen when I was starting with my HUD. I made so many terrible plays just because I wanted to see how they would show up in my HUD and in my software. You have total permission to be a donkey.
Whatever. I don't. You know what I mean? If I want to get better, I've got to be honest, right? So
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
I don't
exactly.
really. No offense, I don't really care.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
I want to. Let's see. So then we'll view stats, and this is where I don't really know how to use it at all. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen. I can see view stats is just loading up
This is
here.
in PokerStars. So then I go to my ACR, and this is about. I mean, I kind of dig around in here. This is
Yeah,
about as far as I really get. So I was hoping to pick your brain on like what I'm really looking at, where you can help me identify. Like, let me move the.
great. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull my own up on my next monitor here so I can take a look at what you're looking at
So
as
like,
well.
I don't know how many hands do I have in this. So if do I have to highlight everything to look at it all? Is that what you're saying?
No, so
Where do you
you're looking at individual tournaments.
Okay.
So if you wanted to look at the hands within one of those tournaments, you could just click on one
What
of
if I
those
want to look at
views.
big level everything? How do I do that?
Yeah, okay. So then you want to look at, let me take a look here
So do I
on
like,
mine. So you're going to be, okay, tournaments, view stats, yep, overview, all games, all dates. Okay, so for one thing, go to blind and
yep.
turn that to all. Is there right at the very top? Yeah, all blinds. Great. That'll help. That'll add some. All bet types and then go down. Yeah, I would eliminate that quick filter. Yeah, perfect, because that's also going to cut some hands out. I love that filter though. That's cool. Looking for hands where you can grab some data, right?
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. Hands that went to showdown and you get notes. That's going to be a very rich data set when you pull that.
I've been speaking a little bit, but not much. Like I said, with yeah. But so this is everything then.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's going to open it up a bit. And then, and actually, let me just, I'm going to pull my own up here so I can see what you're looking at. Okay, so you're on tournaments. Yeah, this is pretty big picture.
Okay.
Um,
So like, where would you go if you were looking? Like, again, this is about as far as I get. And then I'm like, I don't really
yeah,
know what I'm looking at. So again, just being honest, what would you
yeah.
identify right away? And again, some of these tournaments, I'm like $3. I'm like just playing to mess with. I don't really care, but I want to know what is this identifying right now that where's my flaws right now.
Okay, so up on the top right there, you've got these 4 check boxes for
Yep.
ROI, ITM. Unclick those, and let's just take a look at a slightly less busy screen here. So that is going to be basically just your profit, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
profit over tournaments won.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing little tiny buy-ins and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, and it's probably also counting your home game tournaments in there too,
okay.
because if you go click up under player
Oh,
on
should
the
I do
top
all of
left.
them?
No, I just want to see if you haven't, you might have those 2 linked as aliases, which is what I do. That makes sense. So it's probably tracking you across both PokerStars and ACR, which is why you get some very flat lines there, because the play money tournaments don't cost you any money and you don't win any money. So you see those kind of flat lines with play money
Okay. So
tournaments
I
a
should
lot.
almost create a new alias just to see for ACR is what you're kind of saying.
Yeah, although this one also does like, so I don't know if they are. Maybe they're not linked.
I didn't see on PokerStars anything.
Yeah, because it's just going to be a flat line. You don't even
Oh,
see
I
it.
see what
It's
you're
just
saying.
superimposed over the 0 line. So yeah, so actually, do you play free tournaments on ACR as well, or are they just
I think I
microbuy-ins?
did at the beginning, but no, usually they're, well, it looks like this one's free.
Yeah, these do look free,
Weird.
and they're on ACR. Now that was on, yeah, in 2020, July, 2020.
Oh, I bet you it was like a ticket event where I was just,
I bet that's what it is.
so
I bet
I
that's what
played a
it
lot
is.
of them. Yeah.
Okay, so then on the left, one of the filters you could set would be all tournament buy-in. So actually X out of that for 1 sec.
Okay.
And then just above that, on the left there, there's a buy-in. There you go. Yeah, there you go. All tournament buy-ins. So open that little menu up. and then click the 5 and 15 ones. Click 5 and then see if it'll let you also click 15, or no, it'll only do one or the other. So yeah, you would have to put a filter in. So yeah, you could go down to more filters. Yep. And then it'll say
Can you see
game
that or no?
details. Yeah, it should be tournament buy-ins. Yeah, tournament buy-ins down there. Yep, exactly. Click on that.
Weird.
Did it click? Have you clicked through on that?
Oh,
Tournament
no. Can you
buy-ins?
see me watch? Can you?
I can see it. Oh, but maybe I still see that same tournament filters page.
Hmm. Game details, tournament buy-in.
Yeah, what happens if you click on tournament buy-ins there?
Nothing happened. Let's go back to game details.
Let me
Tournament
see.
buy-ins.
Let me pull
There
that
we
up
go.
here.
How about all?
Ah, yeah. So then make buy-ins between 1 and 100. And that'll give you all, I mean, I don't know how many tournaments over $100 you're playing, but that'll basically give you the, yeah, add to filter. Oh, it didn't show up there. That's weird. You know what? Maybe you didn't toggle it on. Sorry, buddy. Go back into more filters there.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Stop this.
yeah, so I know we kind of revisited some of the stuff we talked before, but I think just kind of diving a little deeper is going to really help me utilize this program a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I think right click is your friend, and the old shift click and control click
yep. Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. And the tags are really helpful, because one of the problems with Poker Tracker is that it's hard to look at things. It's hard to look at like multiple variables all at the same time.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll run a filter just for like 3-bet hands, and then
Gotcha.
I'll tag everything in that filter, and then I'll break it out and filter something else so that I can see how they both come together. So yeah, but let me know as you get deeper in this stuff, and especially with the HUD, if you
So
have questions about the
I
HUD and
think I
stuff.
already did it. Yeah. So
Oh,
this
sweet.
looking at it, it's just buy-ins 1 to 20. They're 1 to 100, right? So this
Yeah,
did that. Okay.
there you go.
Okay. So then
So
once I'm
then,
in here,
yeah, so now that you're in here, down at the bottom, you can see you're searching by tournament. You can search by description, by buy-in, by date. In the middle, sort of a little higher on the right there.
yeah,
Yeah, there you go. So those are good ways to drill down on it. And then if you click either one of those tournaments down below, yeah, click either one of those, or
yeah.
double click, I guess, to click, sort of drill down into it. It'll pull up all the hands. Oh yeah, here, you're already looking for tags. Great. So untick those two. Yeah, untick review and untick strange hand. And then there, now it's going to bring up all the hands, not just the ones that were ticked. So you can look through all these. You can review them individually. You can sort them. You could replay the entire tournament from front to back and sort of get a sense of what the flow was. Sometimes what I'll do is, if I played a tournament that was pretty long, like 250 or 300 hands, I'll filter on the left for all the hands that I VPIP'd, and then I'll export all those hands into a replayer and just play all the hands. That's a nice way to review your hands without having to look at every hand that you folded pre-flop.
So you just add a filter and then put VP. I'll figure that out. That seems pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to kind of, like I said, use it a little more than just identifying. And to be honest, even just identifying just the basic from the HUD is a huge improvement.
Yeah.
But like I said, the reason I really wanted this was A, to learn some of that exporting that I wasn't figuring out, and then B, just I feel like I'm a 1 to 10. I'm probably at a 1.5. So just giving myself a critical assessment. So I just wanted to get to the, pick the brain that I really appreciate. You obviously know your poker trackers. So.
Sweet, man. Well, it's a great tool to shine a light. You know, it shines a light on the stuff that you want to investigate. So,
As you're saying that, the sun's beating up. I mean,
yeah, I can see that. It's a sign. It's a sign, Danny.
so.
Well, listen. Don't be a stranger about this kind of stuff. It's so
Awesome.
much fun for me to talk about Poker Tracker. Honestly, like, I know
Yeah,
it's
but I just want
nerdy,
to
but
value your time. I know you're being generous, but I mean, like, there's still the real world we live in, and
it's true.
your time is valuable. So I will be putting another. I hope you just take it, and I can keep paying because honestly, $55 is not that much. So
Right. Well, that's what I keep telling people.
so like really, if you were charging the rate you were probably earning, it's probably be like 3 times that much.
Well, you're
So you got to
kind.
take that into a grain of salt. You
You're
know.
kind. I'm sure you'll see that quote on my webpage soon.
There you go.